Hello guys, what's up? Welcome back to the MMA Huddle for our UFC 260 predictions. I'm glad to be back. Like I say, I've kind of stepped back a little bit. There's some life things that's kind of going on where I've had to kind of look after me and my own, and John's been running the ship fruitfully as I've kind of taken a back step. So it's probably I'm going to be around for the pay-per-views at least for this year, and then we'll see where we go later on in the year, when things might be changed a little bit, but we'll wait and see with that. Just a massive thank you to John for doing everything that he does for the podcast when I'm not around. So like I said, I'm probably going to be around for the pay-per-views for that. Great to be back. Great to be talking fights with John. Hit that subscribe button and just grow the huddle as big as we can, and leave a comment with your picks, your bets, your DraftKings picks, whatever it may be, whatever you have questions, hit us with it. And coming off a really fine kind of weekend for myself, and some spots. I mean, I know I bet against Kevin Holland last week, and everybody seemed to be on Kevin Holland because he was the 2020 Fighter of the Year, and I was like, really? And I was like, I really like Brunson in that spot. I was like, but when you I suppose when you fight 5 times in 6-7 months and you win. And especially his last victory over Jacare Souza, kind of a lot of hypes on him. So, I enjoyed last week's card. I never really fully watched it until Sunday morning. I won a wedge on DraftKings, which was nice. I took down one of the bigger tournaments on there, and walked away with like $2,500. So that was a nice big hit for myself. I'll be putting that towards the house coming my way, hopefully very, very soon. But John, how are you? Hope you're well. Thanks for looking after this when I'm not around. And what did you take away from the fights last weekend? And Cage Warriors, the trilogy, knocked out the park again. So fair play to Ian Dean, Graham Boylan, and the crew at Cage Warriors. Great shows.
Yeah, great shot. Ian Dean, he's a matchmaking master, isn't he? Let's be honest. And
he is.
Do find some absolute gems. And do you know what? I enjoyed Cage Warriors. It was a great warm-up to the UFC events. And I am never going to complain that Cage Warriors do these 3 cards in a row. I actually prefer it. If Cage Warriors were, I know they like to do their monthly things. If they were to maybe cluster it down to every 2 months and do 3 events, I'm in. I am in with that. I love the idea. They did it ages ago, Super Saturday. Did it a while ago when they did 2 shows in one day, stuff like that. Little experimentations. I liked it. There's some great performances. Obviously, we spoke before, Paddy Pimblett. He had a great performance and suited him to the ground there. You just saw Ian Gary, who's possibly going to be a huge star in the future. If folks haven't heard or seen this guy fight before, he's on UFC Fight Pass Cage Warriors stuff, so do check him out. So as a whole, the card itself, great ideas, great movement with the kind of fight styles that they have on that promotion. But in regards to Kevin Holland, I'm with you, bro. I went Brunson too. I saw that. I was watching. I was like, guys and girls, Brunson's not the same dude he used to be. And you and I we didn't even talk about it, guys. We both think that we must have saw it, and it paid off. Big time to paid off for Will. I'm so happy as well that he got that win, bro. That was a big thing to see there. Yeah. Do you know what? I wish I could say who it was someone on our feed posted that they made some money as well on a parlay from last week's card and stuff, some fights. So it's always nice to see that happen. It makes our day. Really does make our day when we see people win some money. Bro, the big card here is hit by Volkanovski getting COVID, though. I've got to be honest, that Barriault take a fight, I was absolutely stoked for it. I thought it was a great matchup. Sadly, we're missing it. And I think the cards, it's a one fight card kind of thing for me. There's some okay fights, don't get me wrong, but there's only one fight I'm wanting to look into and wanting to see, and it is this Miocic and Ngannou rematch. And other than that, I'm okay with the card. Yeah.
We don't pay for it in the UK, so we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. We're not shelling out $60, $75 for that. We're kind of lucky. That's one of the things actually that we can appreciate. I appreciate actually is not having to pay that. I pay £30, £35 a month for BT Sport when I could get it in other avenues, but I just decided to pay it because it saves the hassle with me a little bit. But to be paying that like, I couldn't imagine being in the States and having to do that kind of month in and month out. But you kind of maybe have to pick and choose your pay-per-views and so on. But yeah, it's a decent run of cards. Now we're on to this one here. I think we've got a break, and I think this is the last card the Reebok deal, isn't it? So they move into the new Venom gear, which I think is smart that the UFC are taking. I'm guessing this is why they're taking a break.
Yeah.
And then they're probably going to launch that fully probably this time next week. So it's going to be interesting to see. I've seen some pictures actually of some of the gear that's floating about. Decent. I like it.
I've always liked Venom, though. I think anyone who's ever watched the UFC pre-Reebok would appreciate Venom as a brand.
Yeah,
I have Venom gear. I used to love some of the Venom stuff they pumped out there. So I have no doubts that it will be welcomed addition, because there's nothing wrong with Venom as a brand.
Yeah.
Now, they proposed though that UFC fighters are going to be they're on the same level as NFL and all. I don't think so. Because actually, some of the deals that have been made in the free agency in the NFL, and there ain't no chance anyone's getting that kind of money.
No, it's Dana just needs to kind of calm down with that NFL, NBA stuff. I think they're making big strides. Honestly, I think they are doing great with that. But it's like you're never going to be on. Like we've just had free agency in the NFL where guys are getting millions like for 1 year. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick, say he's went to Washington. I think it's 12 million with 10 million of that guaranteed. So you're never going to have something like that. So right, let's get into the card here. We're nearly 6-7 minutes in. We haven't even spoken about a fight yet. So we're going to start off in the middleweight division. We've got Marc-André Barriault against Abu Azaitar. I'm looking forward to this fight. I watched this afternoon actually, and I'll let you lead off with it. But I think it's a kind of interesting one for me when I was watching earlier on. What's your thoughts on the fight?
Yeah, I see it as kind of a bit of a brawl fight. I really do see it as kind of almost like a sling fight. The style of the fighters matches each other perfectly. They're almost like a rock'em sock'em style. For me, I was never overly impressed by Mark in the UFC. He's not done much coming in. I feel like he's almost like a backdated style of MMA fighter. Just hard-nosed, in your face, grapple against the cage, dirty box. Not the quickest striker, and it kind of showed in his fights. And then he got popped as well. So that kind of showed in the Oscar fight. Now, why on earth you would think you need to take anything, tainted or not, to knock out Oscar Piotr is beyond me. That dude does not like getting punched in the face. So you don't need to do anything, bro. So I'm looking forward to seeing it was a year ago. So let's see what his body looks like after a year of having to be clean to be a good boy. It's always, you can always sometimes see a difference in the physique, because he looked physically a lot better in that fight. Obviously, it paid off. But then again, stylistically, for me, Abu here, the dude can put good cardio in for a guy like in that division and that kind of style of fight that he has. He's just a grinding kind of fighter. When I watch some of his World Series of Fighting matchups, the dude is hard-nosed. He can fight and grapple hard. I don't see it being a high-level striking contest, but I do see Abu getting a taken a victory here. I just feel that maybe Mark hasn't, for my personal belief, got that upper echelon level to get fights out the way and get them done. I know the Oscar fight, but I don't even count that because Oscar just wasn't done by then anyway, in my opinion. But yeah, I kind of see the Victor Miranda fight was an okay fight. Miranda was kind of last stages, but yeah, World Series of Fighting was the more kind of fights in KSW. You look at that stuff that he had, and he obviously knocked out Jack Marshman in Cage Warriors Abu as well. If you go back there, so that was interesting to see, and both juiced up. Abu's just he's just on the creatine, mate. It's water retention. Can we get some subtitles, please? Men. Yeah, bro, I've got to go with Abu on this one. I think he can get the decision win. I just feel that he's probably the stronger fighter at the two. I definitely think he hits harder. So I'm going to Abu on this one, bro.
Yeah, I see it being really close. Honestly, I think that it could go either way, in my opinion. When I look at it, I'm leaning on the Abu side myself. But the guy's fought once in 4.5, nearly 5 years, and he's 35. so he's probably missed out in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
I think he had a pretty bad illness, and then the Miranda fight was, I want to say 2.5, maybe even longer than that, actually 3 years ago. And that was a fight, very close back and forth fight where he was super aggressive. I actually think initially the start of that fight when he came out, it went after the body. I think it actually slowed down Miranda, and he actually did well with getting takedowns, but then getting swept, which was a little bit surprise to me. I thought that he would have a little bit more opportunity, maybe getting a submission. He got close with the kind of head and arm triangle in that spot, but then he always seemed to reverse position, get on the back. He ended the rounds really well in that fight. And like I said, Azaitar's a guy that, because I see he fought in Cage Warriors way back against Jack Marshman, and then you watch the PFL stuff. I see this being super close. It's a pick 'em on the betting lines. I can see why it's that. So if it's just one of those spots there where if you like a side, you kind of go with it. If you can get plus money on either side and you like that spot, then I would go with it. Abu's moved from a dog into like a pick 'em kind of situation there. So I don't think it's a fight I want much on kind of betting wise, but I think it could be a little bit kind of knock 'em, sock 'em robots, a lot of clinch work, a lot of dirty boxing. There'll be takedowns throughout there as well. But I'm kind of on the Abu Azaitar side myself as well. Initially, I thought maybe Barriault's got a shot here. He's been more active over the years, but I seen it being a close 29-20 decision, maybe even like a split decision type of fight. So for me, I'm going to take Abu Azaitar on that one there. I was about to say Shane Young, Omar Morales, but that got pulled. Hopefully they get an opponent for Omar Morales. That was going to be a good fight. I really like Morales.
That was going to be a brawl, mate. That was going to be a good brawl too. Gutted about that one.
I was thinking about betting Omar Morales, honestly, in that one. But like I say, hopefully he gets an opponent. We get another fight added on here. Women's flyweight division, Gillian Robertson against Miranda Maverick. This is a fight. I've got a bet on in this one already. So I've bet Gillian Robertson against Miranda Maverick. Now, I bet her the last time they were supposed to fight. This time I got a better line, though. So I kind of went a little bit early. I got plus 125, and then the line kind of ballooned up on fight day to like plus 140, where I bet her at over the weekend. Sunday, actually, I think it was that I got her there. So, like I say, I've spoken about this fight before. I just see holes in Miranda Maverick's game that Gillian Robertson can exploit. And we all know what Gillian's going to want to do. She's going to want to clinch up, catch kicks, do whatever it can to get the fight to the ground. I just really like this spot for that. I don't think she should be high as an underdog. I watched, and I've said this every time about Miranda Maverick, I watch her entire career because it's only like 8 fights, and she gets taken down a lot. Pel Gonzalez got her down. Brogan Sanchez Walker got her down. Now, to be fair to the lassie, she has really elevated her game where it's definitely getting better. You can see that she's a more predominant striker in this matchup, better footwork, more power, because Gillian Robertson really has never, ever had any striking. It's not great. But for me here, I think if she can catch takedowns off kicks in clinch positions, I've seen Miranda taken down in numerous spots, whether it be trips, whether it be getting the back taken and getting her legs kicked out from behind her, double legs. I've seen a lot. And I think that Gillian Robertson, if she can do that initially in the first round, I think she will have spots later on there and she will be dangerous. But this stays standing. I think that you will see Miranda Maverick put it on her, like many other girls kind of have against Gillian Robertson, like a Macy Barber type thing. And she's actually pretty good in the ground. I'm not discrediting her ground game either, because she's shown in positions that she can get takedowns and she can get to dominant positions where she can blast with her ground and pound. She's overall a far better prospect, in my opinion. I just think there's a little bit of a higher step up right now from your Joe Jewers to your Robertson. A winnable fight for her, I'll agree that, but I like the other side. I put my money down on the other side. So I've got Gillian Robertson. I think that she can maybe get a submission or she can get like a close decision. But Miranda's very live. She could come out here and, I don't want to say live, she could come out here and dominate and make my bet look silly. I've thought about that as well. But my pick's going to be Gillian Robertson.
Dan Edwards there, you're going with Andre on that one, the fight before with Abu. Fair play, bro. Opposition can make a difference, and good to see UFC betting experience.
Experience like Miranda, too strong for Gillian, he's saying. So I can see that. I can see that.
That is it, because she has, weirdly enough, like you say, well, she gets taken down, but she's actually got a really good top game.
Yeah,
use it. If you've got something that's quite, in my opinion, I think when she gets on top against every opponent, she's a nightmare to deal with. I think she's really hard to handle. And I think girls have problems with her because of her physicality. And she's, definitely physique-wise, she's even got stronger over time. You can see her body changing and she's looking fantastic. BP, great to see you, brother. Gillian as well, BP, you got another one on your side. It is almost like a pick and fight with Gillian and Miranda, because I was torn, bro, watching the tape study back in February. And Gillian has got a wicked submission game. I went back to watch tape study again, more of a refresher. And sometimes your opinion changes. At the time you look at something, you think, I did think at first, I thought maybe Miranda would be too strong for her. That was my first thought about it. But then for me, Gillian's got no problems or qualms with letting Miranda take it down. Gillian would be happy to invite the takedown. If she feels she can't get it herself, she'll be happy to engage the takedown, fight off her back, submission off her back, and maybe try to scramble for that back take. I think she will go for the takedowns as well. I think Gillian's going to try and engage in the grappling aspect, trying to get the fight close, stop Miranda trying to strike and land on it. Now, Miranda has improved. I think Miranda's whole game is improving a lot better than Gillian's has over the past couple of years. I think she has definitely, she's definitely added more to herself. She's definitely looking a lot more fluid on her feet. Whereas Gillian, we've seen a lot. If you look at her social media presence, she does do stuff with Din Thomas as well. Striking wise, she does work on her striking. I'm not taking anything away from Gillian. I don't know if it's a confidence thing. Could be big time confidence. It's hard sometimes when you're in there to actually want to put out that and not go to your instinctual kind of takedown world. Man, here we go. BP Gillian, so underrated. Yeah, after watching tape, I've noticed Miranda loves throwing, that Gillian has shown that she can get caught them. Yeah, she throws kicks that Pearl caught. Yeah, and took it down. There you go. Miranda, in my opinion, after tape study, isn't as strong as everyone is thinking, but overrated narrative. Did they pick Miocic on Ngannou yet? Tom, we haven't done that pick yet, bro. We're not even at the main card yet, brother. We're on the second fight of the card. Second fight. We're nowhere in here. So what you should do, Tom, is sit down and join the ride. Join in with your picks. We'll be breaking down the main event shortly.
Yeah. What I was going to say. What I was going to do, Bill. Who are you going with?
I'm going with Gillian.
You're going with Gillian as well.
I think she's got the opportunity to get submission, bro. I really do. I think the fight will hit the mat, and that's out of the two of them. I pick up who's the more dangerous submission game. I think Gillian's got more arsenal with that submission side of things.
See, I can see this here. She could potentially get out muscle because, like I say, there's definitely a maturation with her body where she looks like she's going to really filling in herself. But I just see too many takedowns from other fighters that I think that Gillian can get as well. So, but one of the things that I noticed today when I was looking through things is, she's actually on a fight card here, Gillian Robertson, with someone with Hannah Goldy. They train together, which is, I think, pretty beneficial for them in these last couple of weeks. Where before she had American Top Team, obviously, and she had spots where she had good people in there. But I think that helps a little bit. I don't think it takes away from the matchup. I think Miranda could turn into be a really good prospect. There's no doubt about it. I think there's a bit of a step up from what she faced before. So, like I say, we're both on Gillian there. I'm glad with the dog money that I've got. I've got my money down. We'll see how that goes in that one there. But moving on, Modestas Bukauskas against Michał Oleksiejczuk. In this one here, who have you got?
I like the matchup because you've got two guys who offer us a bit of fresh blood in the light heavyweight division, so to speak. I think Michał is still a middleweight, no matter what you want to look at him. I think the dude could cut down a middleweight and be an absolute terror there. He's got speed. And I think a big factor was the OSP fight. You just saw he was undersized. You just saw he looked undersized. He didn't look like he was a light heavyweight. He looked like a guy who stepped in short nose. It gripes me, but the dude's fast with his hands. He's got obviously power in his hands. Can hurt folk. His weak side is the submission game, it seems, because he's been submitted a couple of times now. But, even in the OSP fight, he had some success, man. He did catch OSP, and OSP obviously did his own work and, did the right thing, use his size and strength and his, obviously, skill set and knowledge and what to do. For me, Modestas, had a good win to start with in his UFC career. Jimmy Crute fight, I thought maybe Jimmy Crute was a little bit ahead of him already, and I thought he just got dominated in that fight. He just looked well out of sorts. I think, to be fair to Modestas, he was on a bit of a streak. You know, he was running high, a lot of confidence. But one thing I always feel he doesn't handle the pressure too well. I don't feel like he handles getting hit too much. I don't think his recovery's that sharp. I think Modestas here is going to have a rough time. I do. I'm going to go over to Oleksiejczuk here, and I think he's going to actually put Modestas away, bro. I do. I think he's too fast with his hands. I think Modestas is going to come in trying to land the striking. I don't think he's going to try and engage in the grappling aspect, which is what you would want to do in this fight. But I think Michał here could get the W with a KO, man. I do. Straight up. Yeah. I'm going for a stoppage, bro, with his hands, man. I do rate his hands all the time. No, honestly, I can't. In fact, I get quite excited about when he goes to fight because I look forward to watching him go because he's just pretty good, man, with his speed.
Yeah. I hate the fact that Oleksiejczuk fights at 205 when he's clearly a 185er. Like, he really is. I think he'd be more beneficial in that division. He's completely undersized against some of these guys, but I think it's more predominantly grapplers that it's going to give him problems. If you've got a guy that he's going to stand with, I think his speed's too much. I think his speed would be great at 185, but at 205, it's going to be warring back and forth because he is so speedy. But he's got the power that kind of goes along with it. Not huge power, but the speed kind of really helps with that. Yeah. Modestas is going to have spots, but there's opportunity. Like there's fights out there that you've seen him like hit hard. And he doesn't get kind of back from it. Now, that Crute jump up from Michailidis was a big jump up. Crute's one of the kind of darker horses in that division, in my opinion. But I think you have to go with Oleksiejczuk here. I cannot feel confident in Modestas, not unless he's dominant with a kind of ground game. I think if this is a stand-up fight, there's too much speed. I think there's too much variety when I see Oleksiejczuk as well. So I'm going to go Michał for the win there. I'll take via knockout as well. I think the opportunity is there. Put it that way. I don't know whether it's because I watch the John Redmond fight every time where he gets hit silly, and that's nasty. And this guy's got a lot of speed. I've got Michał Oleksiejczuk in that one as well. So moving on to the prelims, Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I'm usually good with that. There we go. Against Jared Gooden, a guy that you've spoken to numerous times. Really, I think it's a tough fight for Jared. I do. I really want to. I kind of heard that this fight they were potentially putting together. I was like, oh, dude, you need someone that is going to stand with him a little bit, kind of like the Alan Jouban fight. Jouban's just a really good striker. Well, I think he's at the end of his days, but I think that it was a tough fight to come into the UFC against a pretty solid veteran in Jouban. Showed some spots where they're the type of fights that I think he needs against probably lower caliber. That's a tough fight, a tough entry into the UFC. And now you've got brother Nurmagomedov here, he's coming off to me, when I watch him, I'm not impressed with what I see from Abubakar Nurmagomedov. I really don't. I think that he got caught against Suarez. It was a beautifully timed entry into the takedown. Yeah. Initially, he showed some nice jabs in that first minute of that fight, but he's a Nurmagomedov. They want to get the fight to the guy and they want to grapple. And this is where I think that he's going to have a definitive advantage. And it hurts me to say that because I would like Jared Gooden to get at least a UFC win. This is going to be one of these fights here where he could be 2 fights in and out the door. I really hope that's not the case. But if this fight stays standing, I think that Jared can absolutely knock his block off. There is fights out there, if you go back and watch, of Jared Gooden, maybe against Michael Graves, showed some great balance, some great takedown defense, sprawled well in some spots in the fights out there. But I think he can be clinched up and he can lose rounds through that. So I really want to go with Jared Gooden, but I think the smart pick here is on Nurmagomedov, so I'm going to take him via a pretty lackluster decision, honestly.
Yeah, bro, it's a rough one to pick. I love Jared Gooden; he's a great guy. Always good to see you, brother. Yeah, lot of love there for boy Michał. Man, I've got to go with Nurmagomedov as well, bro, because I just think he's got that grappling side of things which can wreck Jared's game. Like, man, watching Jared fight on the regional scenes, like you say, bro, there's things when he gets his hands going and he can get you on the back foot, he can really put you in danger. But when he's up against the cage, it's a bit of difficulty for him, so to speak. I thought the Dwight Grant fight that he was originally meant to fight would have been a great fight for him ages ago. That would have been a great one. He beat Jay Jackson. That was a good, solid performance on the regional scene. But like you said, the Michael Graves fight in Titan, Graves is a hard dude to beat. Like, I know the UFC were like, they don't like his style of fighting because he can blanket you. But Graves, that was a good fight, man, because Graves is a hard dude to go against, and he put in a good performance. The Bruno Oliveira fight, he was just undersized in that fight. Bruno Oliveira was just huge. And I think he knew that he's not a middleweight. You know, Jared was just taking fights just to get into the UFC. He was trying to get as many fights as he could. He took the wrong fights, so to speak. But, like, you know, at welterweight, he does look better. And he's shown that. And I think that he will do well in this fight, man. When he's on the feet, I think he'll have good stints. I think that you might see, like you say, Nurmagomedov might get hit once or twice in the feet in the first round and then just go, yeah, well, there's no point in doing this. That dude hits hard. I'm not wasting my time. I just want to get on the ground and just smother you, blanket you, like Weston, like the Bojan fight a little bit too at times. John Howard, he's fought a ton of guys who are good fighters in their own right, but I feel like Nurmagomedov will just go for the grappling side of things. But I do want to pick Jared, but I'm going to go on the Nurmagomedov side, hoping that I'm proven wrong. When I wake up in the morning and I see Jared get the W, man, I've been made up for him. I've been pleased with punch, but I've got to go that way, bro.
Yeah. This is a name we haven't seen too much or even spoke about over the last 4 years, I'm going to say. Jessica Penne against Hannah Goldy in the women's strawweight division. I thought she'd kind of stepped away. I know that she had a ban, but I didn't think we'd ever kind of see her in the UFC again. So I'm kind of interested to see what she looks like here after that long break. Who have you got in this one? I'm kind of struggling with this one, if I'm being honest with you. Who have you got?
It is an awkward one because, like, Jessica's like 38 years old now as well. Like you say, bro, she's been around 4 years. And as much as you want to be part of the fight game and be a badass, you can't be missing 4 years of the later stages of your career, you know, especially at strawweight, which is a division which is lighter, quicker, faster. It's all reliant upon really reaction time and speed. And one of the things we're going to see with Jessica Penne is she did an OnlyFans thing, I think, as well. And obviously, she's just bringing that money in between. And kudos to her. If she's paying the bills, that's what matters. She had a really bad time with all of that. So I don't know what she's going to come in as. Like, is she going to be really rusty? She's fighting a girl in Hannah Goldy who is shredded and jacked. But with Hannah Goldy I feel she fights way too tight. She's too rigid. She needs a bit more fluidity now, whether that's nerves when she fought Miranda on her UFC debut. That could have well been nerves in her. I felt she had a really tough time closing the distance. And this is a tough one because Jessica's got the length and the range and everything. So she could really, if she looked at what Miranda did, you can pick off Hannah. And Hannah has a really tough time. She throws punches and she's punching thin air because she can't manage a distance that well. For me, if I'm Hannah, I'm taking the fight to the ground, trying to grapple her against the cage, really bully and outmuscle Jessica Penne. And Jessica as well, she lost a few fights before her ban. She was I'm surprised the UFC kept the will as well. It blows my mind. Never mind getting popped. Who cares? She lost 3 fights in a row. You know, and if she was actually 1-4 in the last 5 fights, so it even makes it even more kind of enticing to really not bother keeping her around. If I'm in the UFC, I'm going to go towards Hannah because you've got to hope she wins. You know, you want Hannah to win because she's, you know, bit of fresh face in there, young blood, kind of, so to speak. She's got a bit of ability where she could maybe be a bit of a kind of blanket fighter where she could lay on girls and just kind of pin them up down and get the win that way. But, you know, I don't know if this is the battle of the OnlyFans you want to call it or whatever. But, yeah, I think Penne could actually get the win here. I wouldn't be surprised if she does get the win, bro, because she's got the skill set and the ability to do it. So So I'm a bit worried, but I'm going to go with Hannah here. I just hope she gets a W, because I think for Penne 38, she's not going to do much else.
Yeah, I think obviously Penny kind of had a heyday back in the day when she fought Joanna and she got bludgeoned in that fight. I mean, that was a fight that you wouldn't, if she stepped away from the sport then, you wouldn't it wouldn't be a bad thing. And that Daniel Taylor fight, I sat and watched that. She won that fight. I don't think Daniel Taylor won that fight. I thought she was in the bad end of the decision there, but it is what it is. It is coming on nearly 4 years. She has had a suspension. She's obviously found other ways to kind of get revenue in, which, to be fair, when you look now, I think all the girls in the kind of outside of the UFC are doing it. There's Lareida and Bellator are doing it. Paige is doing it. Who else? That Marina Monroe is doing it. Pel Gonzalez is doing it. So they're all, and fair play to them because it's making extra money and they will make a ton of money out of that. But when I look at this fight here, I think that Penne can get takedowns because I see deficiencies in Goldy's takedown defense. And I think that with experience that Penne has, I think she will find a way to get this fight to the ground. I think she could have a little bit of success in the clinch, but is she going to be rusty? I think she completely is. I know she's probably been around Angela Hill when she's been through this run, so she's probably been a warm body for Angela Hill. But it's really hard for me to sit here and be confident in picking either side here. I think that the better striker is Goldy. I think that she's got a little bit more variety. I think that Penne is hittable. Her head stays on the centre line. It never moves, so you know where the target's going to be. And I think if she mixes it up and keeps on the feet, I think she wins this fight pretty comfortably, in my opinion. So, but it's hard to be comfortable on either side here. So I'll take Hannah Goldy. But women's MMA recently has been hard to kind of predict. Some big dogs coming through. These are kind of evenly lined fighters, and I can see why they are. So I'll take Hannah Goldy for the win in that one there. The main fight of the prelims here, we've got a rematch, a rescheduled fight, I should say, from, I want to say 3-4 weeks back. We've got Alonzo Menifield against William Knight, where my pick for that fight was Menifield. So I'm not going to be switching off anything. I'm one of these things, like if I see a spot that, especially with this COVID season, if fights get moved, I'm not going to switch up sides based on that. And my initial lean was Menifield, but with not much confidence because I think this can be a good fight for him for the fact that William Knight's not a guy that comes out swinging and is a guy with a lot of output, which might play into the favour of a Menifield there where he might be able to pick his shots a little bit better. And if he can maintain through bigger parts of this fight, then I think he can win. The bet I'm kind of looking at for this fight already is the over 1.5 rounds. I think for some reason I feel this is going to be a slow-paced fight where both guys are not going to be throwing at high output. They're going to be picking their shots. There's going to be clinch work in there, which obviously William Knight's a tank. He is a tank. And if he was to clinch it up, yeah, they are. I think I was watching some videos actually, William Knight just lifting earlier on. That guy's a strong dude, but I think he can gas out a little bit as well. So I think it's a well-matched fight right now. Menifield needs to kind of get back in the win column a little bit, and he's obviously got that big power. Both guys have got power, but I think the more fluid striker, in my opinion, is Menifield. Like I said, I see it being close. I think it's a pick 'em again betting wise. So if you see the spot better than what I do, then go with that spot. But the kind of bet I like, and I'm not an over and under type kind of better, but I quite like the over 1.5 and over 1.5 rounds in this fight, which is a little bit of a shock to me, and it's like minus 110. So I'm going to take Alonzo Menifield. I'm going to take him via maybe a late stoppage, if not a decision, which you probably get a good line on a Menifield decision there. But I see this being slow-paced. I see it being particularly close, but I'm on the Menifield side on this one here.
Yeah, I like the fact that, like you say, bro, it's rescheduled, which kind of puts my little bit more faith towards Menifield because he's had a bit longer to heal.
But was he the one that got COVID, though? See, that's something you have to bring into consideration. Yeah. If he's the one that's had it, we've seen. Well, I've seen me. You've seen watching NFL and stuff like, or like even with Hamza, like this has lingering effects, and you might think that you're fully recovered when you're really not. So, and then that might play into him gassing, and William Knight there could potentially, like this UFC Ben experience is saying here, that this could kind of play key for him coming into the late part of this fight. Who knows?
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm sticking with my original thought in the fight, and I'm going with Menifield. But that's something absolutely that you have to kind of think about these days. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Hopefully, obviously, because like I say, he's a very fit athlete. Hopefully, he's recovered well enough. Some guys and some girls are lucky that they don't get the serious symptoms. They just test positive. They're not too ill. They just have to wait till they get the negative test. I'm hoping he's okay, because for me, that little delay is a big factor, and I kind of sway towards Menifield on that one, where it gives him a little bit longer to heal. Knight is dangerous, very dangerous. I think if I'm Menifield, I'm going to try and grapple a bit, get him against the cage. You might see a bit of the grappling, like you said, Will, slow fight. I think Menifield might try to close distance, keep it tight on the cage, get the fight to the ground potentially. There's a bit of a mixture of picks here as well. It's nice to see. There's some people picking Penne before, and the majority were picking Goldy. And again, in this fight, man, it is one punch can end this fight, because I don't know how it's going to go, because I've seen Knight get dropped by punches that I didn't think were explosive, and then you see Menifield getting knocked out because he charged. But that might hopefully learn and grown from that, because he made a simple mistake, mate. He just charged in when he shouldn't have been. If he just took his time, he might have actually beat OSP. Silly move, but these things happen. And I see people jumping in on little parlays and stuff as well. Alonzo by decision plus 425. That's pretty decent. That's pretty awesome there, Will. I saw those little odds there pop up. But yeah, bro, I'm going to go with Alonzo as well. I think he can get the W on this one. And I think he should get that done.
Maverick O'Malley parlay, interesting. Considering we are both on Robertson, that's kind of interesting. So we're on to the main card here. It's only 4 fights. We're cutting this fight here. I've watched one fight either guy, because I always watch Jimmy Mullarkey against Brad Riddell because it was a great fight. But this was on Sunday. I thought I'd start watching, and then it was the whole thing with the Aussie guys getting taken out. We've got Khama against Jamie Mullarkey, and if you look at the social medias, I mean, Brad Riddell got pulled, Alexander Volkanovski got pulled. There's pictures there where Jamie Mullarkey's in there, so it's like, is something going to happen here? So, like I say, I actually pretty like this fight, if I'm being honest with you. I think it's a good matchup, well matched up type of fight. Who have you got in this one?
I want Cam Worthy, bro. I'm a fan of him, man. I think he's one of those guys that he can get stopped, because he puts himself in sometimes positions where when he comes in with the combinations, he's open to getting hit. I just feel, for me, Jamie isn't of that great level. I think Cam Worthy's the kind of guy that some guys should probably able to stop, put him away, maybe stop him in the fights. But me, I'm not being overly blown away by Jamie, maybe because he's a bit tough. It's probably what I give him credit for. He could take a beating. If that's a great thing to have, I don't know if that's something to write home about myself, but he's tough. He can handle himself a bit in the cage. But yeah, I'm not overly impressed by what Jamie can do, man. I think that Brad should have battered him. I think that in this fight, I think Cam Worthy, man, speed is on his side. He can crack fast, move. I think if Jamie can grapple here, I think if Ross can teach him or sway him to go to the grappling side of things, that's what you want to do with Khama here. But even then, Khama showed that he can get a submission game in, and he stopped Penne as well. So, Penne, sorry. So, you know, it's I've got to go Worthy here, man. I just can't look at Jamie and think that dude's got a good lightweight division kind of run coming in him. Just can't see it.
Yeah, I'm on the Worthy side as well, because I bet against Mullarkey against Faris Ziam, and that was against a very inexperienced guy there, where he showed some holes, in my opinion. I seen like him getting taken down, and now Ziam's got a big frame there where he can get trips, and he can get into spots where he can hurt you there. But I think when I watch Mullarkey, he's all heart, all durability, strong-willed in the cage, but he's defensively flawed. He gets hit a lot. He can be kind of a little bit out-grappled, out-muscled a little bit. Khama Worthy's been around a long time. He's fought a lot of guys. He's got some speed about him. I think he's got some veteran savviness about him. Like UFC Ben Experience said, I think I like Worthy only at dog odds. I like him to win the fight. I think that he can outlast someone like Mullarkey. Mullarkey's always going to be in the fight unless you like completely put a bullet through his head, pretty much, because Riddell hit him with some massive massive clean shots in that spot and never put him down. But I'm going to be on the Khama side as well. I think that the experience is going to play a part, and I think that just Jim Mullarkey is maybe not at this point, maybe UFC caliber, but a guy who's very hard-nosed and will fight, very, very tough. But I'm on Khama in that spot. This is a great fight to me, and I had to kind of keep my bias out of this one here. Sean O'Malley making its return against Thomas Almeida. Love this fight. This was when they matched this together, I'm like, oh, I really, really like this fight because I've waxed lyrical about Almeida for years, and he's obviously had his problems outside the cage and made his return, and I thought he looked a little bit, I don't want to say slow, but he looked a little bit flat-footed for me, and Jonathan Martinez looked like to me like he kind of raised his game, a guy that he really loved watching when he was coming through the early parts of his career. And then you've got Sean O'Malley, the big hype job, who really needs to try and regain some of that high piece. The one thing I'm hating with Sean O'Malley is the fact that he's still saying that he's undefeated, and he's coming out here and saying that like he got beat up. I don't care what anybody says. He got his leg busted up, whether it was him or Cheeto that threw the kick or whatever it may be. That's a legit stoppage. Yeah. He was about to get his nose blasted to the other side of his face. Now, obviously, the injury played a part. Because his fluid movement and his striking is fantastic. Like, it really is. You watch his fights, and he can pick holes and slower guys with kind of defensive frailties. Now, Almeida, like I said, this is tough for me to say because I'm a fan of the guy. He's got holes there which you can exploit, and Sean O'Malley, with the striking that he has, he can pick those spots, I think, and Almeida's been, I think they said on the broadcast, he's been dropped like 6 times in his UFC career. That's never a good look, but he's always kind of survived for the most part outside of your kind of Cody Garbrandts and so on, where they just got him out of there. But what I liked about that last fight was that Thomas Almeida was attacking the legs. There is obviously a massive frailty in the legs of Sean O'Malley, because that's what a couple of times now that's happened. So if you can attack that early, attack that lower leg, and compromise this guy, then you throw that striking out the window, because he's a kicker as well, a dangerous kicker, and he will go high, middle, low. I think that honestly O'Malley needs to kind of attack the body and the head and stop those leg kicks, because he's got frailties in those legs. But I feel like Gustav is saying here, what are the odds on O'Malley submission? I've no idea, but I'd be very surprised if he submitted Thomas Almeida, in my opinion, even though he trains with Tanquinho, who's a really good black belt, a good jiu-jitsu guy himself. I think his run to victory here is knockout. I'm making a fan pick here, guys. I'm picking Thomas Almeida, even though I think probably the smart pick is probably on the O'Malley side, because there is definitely holes there, but I'm still... When I watched the Terry Ware fight as well, now he got Terry Ware, he pieced him up a little bit, but Terry Ware was still getting away with shots there. That was a couple of years ago. I just think there's holes there that if Almeida can get on top and hurt him, then he can take over this fight and he can hurt Sean O'Malley, in my opinion. So, and at the odds, he's a big underdog. He's a massive underdog, actually, at plus 250. I might bet it, but one of the things I'm trying to learn is when you're a fan of a fighter, don't bet on him. So I still struggle with this a little bit. But the odds I like the Almeida odds, and I think he can knock out Thomas Almeida, in my opinion. So I'm going to pick Thomas Almeida. I'm going to pick him via TKO in the late second, early third round, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, Almeida's on a 3 losses in a row. So that's one of the reasons why those odds will be what they are, which is understandable. Yeah, without O'Malley as well, he should have 2 losses if it wasn't for the dumbest man on the planet, Sukintov, not finishing him. And that was a big eye-opening. He's never really properly recovered possibly from there with the leg injuries or whatever he's got. I don't know what it is. Maybe he has got problems with myofascial tissue, something like that. I don't know. But then he beat fought Quinones. That's a good gimme. Eddie Wineland, that's a good gimme fight as well. The UFC they like O'Malley. He's got a cockiness and arrogance. They like it. He brings in eyes. He brings in people. The UFC are going to give him fights that they think are good fights for him, which he's got a high chance to win. The Marlon Vera fight was a fight they possibly fought and had hopes that he would win because he's a far more marketable guy for them. Almeida, I think, again, they try to match him up where it's a more favorable matchup potentially for him. Almeida had a great run, went off the wheels, injuries blighted him. In the past few years, he's not the same character. There's definitely that spark gone from him. And there's problems with his, not chin, but he's got problems with getting hit hard. Now, a lot of people, you've got to take away the personality away from O'Malley and look at him as a fighter, because I do look at O'Malley and think, I'd love to slap him.
Yeah, I think he's got good. He's got stuff there that can make him great. It's just whether he can pull together, is my opinion. So I'm not sure.
I kind of see it in him, and I hope, and I think he should get the win here. I think I can actually see him stopping Almeida here. I don't even see him beating Almeida as a big deal. I really don't. I don't think Almeida's the same guy he was years ago. He's not the name. When he fought Cody, that was Almeida's peak. And I was huge, like you. You and I were huge on Almeida in the Cody fight. Great matchup, great moment in MMA. I feel Almeida's nowhere near that level. I think his kind of value's nowhere near there. Almeida's not going to ever get back there, in my opinion. I just can't see it. The Martinez fight was a big one for me. I just see a lack of confidence, belief. He is hittable. He does get dropped. Brad Pickett dropped him as well. Came back in the second round and stopped Brad, but man,
yeah,
soul.
Yeah, like I say, I loved that fight when they made Almeida against Cody Garbrandt. I'm on record as saying that, and I've said this before, Cody Garbrandt even came to the UFC, that he'll be a UFC champion. Yeah. So that fight was horrible for me to pick because I'm a big Almeida fan. I have been. Like that Pickett fight, I was in Vegas for that. That was a crazy fight, by the way. Holy shit. It was back and forth. He got dropped, he got busted up, and then he caught that knee. So I just think it's pretty obvious what the UFC are doing here. Mm-hmm. They want Sean O'Malley to win this fight. It's pretty obvious to me, and they're kind of seeing that Almeida is maybe on his last legs, and he could be because he's 30 years old now. He could be coming into his prime, but he did look a little bit slow against Martinez, which you would think. I thought he would have won that fight, and he just didn't look in that one at all. Yeah, I like the fight, but I think the UFC want this really to go one way. I hope it goes the other way, but imagine paying for Penne OnlyFans. Yeah, there's people out there, so yeah.
People have nose fetishes, so
Yeah, there's someone out there for big nose. I think she's got a big old schnog, isn't it? A big old nose. So some people might like that shit. So yeah, right. Let's go on. This is now the co-main event. Tyron Woodley against Vicente Luque is the co-main event. Yeah, this was a great fight before the two title fights when they were both on the card. But
yeah,
can Tyron Woodley just do anything in this fight?
Can he recover his old self?
Can he even do it? Because like you say, he's been like a zombie, it seems like, for the longest time. Who have you got winning the co-main event?
Mate, it's weird, man. It's weird watching him fight. 38 years old now. Kamaru Usman didn't look that great in that fight. Gilbert Burns didn't look great. Colby didn't look great. I just don't get it. And as a crazy stat, since he released his song, Beat Your Ass, whatever it was, or Whoop Your Ass, he ain't won. Now, I'm not saying that those go hand in hand, but there's something convenient there that you put a song about kicking ass and you can't kick ass. But then again, is it that thing? He's done a little bit of television, movie stuff. There's like what kind of with Conor McGregor, they say with Conor McGregor, it's hard to want to get out of bed to train in the morning when you've got 150 million in your account. Is Tyron Woodley in the same position? Don't forget, he defended the belt multiple times, made money, got some pay-per-view money, did the TV stuff, did loads of stuff outside of the MMA game. Is it a point where he's even thinking himself, going, what is there else to do? And I'm stuck because he's going up against a guy, Vicente Luque, who doesn't get stopped either. Vicente Luque hasn't got stopped by people, He's lost decisions. He's not getting starched, Vicente Luque. So it's not going to be an easy task at all. Vicente Luque is aggressive, good output, hard striker. What does Tyron not like? Guys who are aggressive in your face and hitting you. He doesn't do well with it. Tyron wants time. Tyron wants space and distance. The Wonderboy Thompson is the best example of that. Wonderboy, slow, methodical, picks his shots every now and then, and that's when Tyron would have the time to recharge, reset, and explode out and hit him. He will not get that with Vicente Luque. And if I'm Vicente Luque, I know that he hasn't got 3 rounds of hard going in him. I'm going to go hell for leather, hit him hard, hit him fast, and get him out of there. I've got Vicente Luque, man. I think this is the nail in the coffin for Tyron. I just don't see any spark in him, man. When you look at the fights that Tyron's had recently, look in between the rounds. Not in the cage, between the rounds, man. There's just like a disengaged guy there. Because he talked about it in the fight prior. Do you remember in the fight before Colby, he talked about AKA getting his spot back, coming back and back. It's me, blah, blah, blah. Champion. No, he didn't even show up. I don't even know who the hell was showing up. It's not there. You can say it all you want, but a lot of it's in the cage, man. I got to go Vicente here, bro.
But when was the last time Tyron Woodley looked decent?
Tyron Till, man. Cracked him and submitted him. He did look good in that.
Yeah, but Darren Till didn't even throw anything in that fight. He was a zombie. Like he was like the white Tyron Woodley in that fight. Yeah. He didn't do shit. Yeah. He really just like sat there and never threw an entire strike. I mean, anytime you get a second submission, like the Maya fight was horrid. The Wonderboy one, which was nearly 4 years ago now, that was not a great fight. Probably the last decent fight was the draw he had with Wonderboy way back in 2016. So this has been a kind of slow decline. And then when you're facing the guys that he's faced, I mean, you've got the 3 top guys in the division. You've got Usman, who is the king of that division. You've got Covington, who
he's the jester, but he's a good bloody jester.
And then you've got Burns, who's the most dangerous guy that there is. The thing that I don't like here is the fact that he gets backed up and it looks shit. Like it looks bad especially when he's not throwing anything. Now that's against the top guys in the division, so that's fair enough. Luque is a top 10 guy, probably that's where he'll always be around. He'll never be any higher than what he is. But at least he throws, like he's got a higher output where he is hittable. Can he take that shot off Woodley? Because Woodley's always got that power that if he catches you with one shot, he could put you out. But I think he can attack the legs. I think he can back him up. I think he can land more shots. But we just need to see more from Woodley. Like if I could see like a spark in his recent fights, then I'd give him a shot here. But it's like he's just shown nothing, in my opinion, for years. Like there's been very little fight out of him. I mean, that Maya one, he didn't do anything. He just wanted to stop takedowns and just pop him, and that's what he did. And Maya, that's what he knew what Maya was going to do, and he was fine with fighting a terrible fight and just getting the win and getting out of there. I just think I just really think that Luque should win this fight. Now the betting line is pretty high, and you're going against a former champion. I just think that Luque can set a higher pace. He can have more output. Just be careful because he has been dropped. I think Barbarena caught him with some nice shots, put him down. So he's been dropped and hit in the past a little bit. So I'm going to go with Luque, but I kind of think that Woodley, if he does anything in this fight, could be very live at the betting odds that he's at. But I cannot pick Woodley after what I've seen within the last 3 years, probably. So I'm going to go T-Wood to lose this one here and probably be the last fight we see him in the UFC. So now we're on to the main event of the night, the rematch, which took place way back in 2018, I want to say it was.
Yeah.
Stipe Miocic defends his UFC heavyweight champion, the GOAT at heavyweight, against, I think, aesthetically the most dangerous looking guy we've ever seen in the division. I think Ngannou's got that mysterious power that it takes, doesn't it take that much? And you're looking at stars, but what's he kind of got outside of that? And we've seen that in the first fight with Miocic. Now, this fight here, the first one is one of the biggest, like one of the matchups that has really pissed me off the most, because I went into that fight and I was saying, Stipe Miocic is going to own this dude. Like, you cannot keep on doing what Ngannou's doing and winning fights like that. And Ngannou, I think, was kind of getting into his own head a little bit. He was seeing himself as the champion. He was already putting himself in a pedestal there where he was the guy in that division. and then I think he disrespected Miocic, in my opinion, and got made to pay for it after the first 4 minutes when he could not. He had nothing left in the tank. He had absolutely zero left in the tank, and I kind of think that it's the same here. Like, what's Ngannou really done since that fight to make you confident that this goes into the second, third round, that he wins this fight? And like, he was a big underdog in that fight, I think, Stipe Miocic, and I remember picking him and saying, I'm going to bet him, and never bet him, and it pissed me off to an extent that it actually changed the way I bet. Like, when you like something, just hammer it. But I'm actually going to go with Francis Ngannou in this fight.
Ooh.
I think he's going to knock out Stipe Miocic in the first round. I think he's going to catch this shot in this fight here, but there's obviously a very high chance that if this goes into round 5, minute 5 or 6, that Stipe Miocic could easily win a 49-45 card like he did the first time around. It's just whether he gets caught. I think that if you go 50 minutes with Francis Ngannou and don't get caught, you are up there. Like if you're not getting clipped with hard shots, then you're going to win these fights. I think I've got Francis Ngannou to win. I just think he catches Miocic, and he is very hittable. He is hittable, Miocic, but if he can get his hands on Ngannou, then he will slow him down. I like the fact that he's in Vegas. Nixick, I think, is a great MMA coach. I think he will help out. Dewey Cooper's a good guy as well. But you've got to look at this fight. We've already seen how it played out the first time. And we've already seen that really, how can you really be confident in Ngannou to really be any different from the first way around? I just got that feeling that he's always been destined to be a UFC champion. I think he catches some of the shot and knocks him out, and he can do that to anybody in the division. But there's also the fights there where, like the Derek Lewis one there, that if he kind of sits back in his laurels a little bit there, he can lose fights like that. I just don't think he'll be like that here. It's first round or bust. Our first couple of rounds are bust, in my opinion, for Ngannou. So I've got Francis Ngannou, round 1 knockout. I think that he beats him here. So I'll go with the big African savage that is big Franny Ngannou for the win here. But Stipe, clear path to victory here as well.
There is one way for Stipe to win, yeah. And I've got to be honest with you, when I watched the fight back, it was insane how poor Ngannou was after that first round. Like, the dude had trouble lifting his feet off the ground, never mind holding his arms up. You know, the dude just did not have an answer, and you could see as well where he looked lost. He just looked lost, and there's quite a lot of fans there, Will, about the Darren the White Tyron Woodley Till, new ring name for him. Moyes audio there, Jay Ramos' last great fight. That's a belt. But yeah, Ngannou, man, what frustrates me is he's the Derek Lewis fight is the only other fight that went to the decision, and that was because no one did anything. It was awful. I didn't even watch it again because I can remember how bad it was. I don't need to see that again. I don't want to waste 15 minutes of my life again. Now, the other fights, annoyingly, didn't even make 2.5 minutes. It was just, are you kidding me? I was like, he's just done it again. He's done the exact same again to get to the title fight. And you think, oh, what is going on? What? Like, at least with Cyril Gane, I feel that dude could do 5 rounds with Stipe. I feel he's got the cardio for it. He's got the durability. With Ngannou, I don't know. I don't know if he has 5 rounds in him. Now, he could have. He could have worked a lot in the background, and he could actually have that in him. He could do 3-5 rounds easy. I doubt it, because that dude is so thick set. He is just a punching machine, and if he hits you, he hits you. Now, he did catch Stipe in the first round, if we remember, a couple of times. Stipe had that big, nice swollen eye. He did catch him once or twice. Not a great shot, but he did hit him, and Stipe took it, and he handled it well. We saw DC, though, in the next bout, drop Stipe with what looked like a nothing punch, like a nothing nonchalant little bump, hot punch in the clinch. And everyone's sitting there going, how the hell did Stipe get knocked out by that? And Ngannou didn't. He relaxed around DC, didn't think nothing was coming, and got caught. He's always waiting for something from Ngannou. I think Ngannou is going to be a bit more ready this time because he knows that Stipe has to go for it. Stipe has to go for the grappling aspect again. And I think we're going to see Ngannou kind of learn from his last takings, take his time with shots, pick his shots a little bit better. defend the takedowns. I think he'll defend takedowns better. You look what he did to Cain Velasquez. Cain Velasquez went for the takedown, learned where there's opportunities to strike maybe, and maybe stop him there, elbows to the head, etc. I'm weirdly going with Ngannou here. I think he's got to have learned. There is no way he's not learned from that last time. And like you said, Will, that fight he had with Derek, that will be in his head as well, because it obviously affected him, the fight with Stipe, when he went into that fight with Derek. There was a confidence thing and he came back. I think that Stipe, great fighter, great champ, great guy to have in the UFC. I think he's done wonders as well, man. But he's only fighting once a year as well. And I'm like, dude, I want to see a heavyweight champ defend that belt at least 2-3 times a year. I want a bit more activity from everyone. I know he stopped to do stuff with the fire service now, which is honorable, but man, Ngannou, if he gets the title, he'll be happy to go and fight often because he'll just murk some other guys. And there's some great matchups there, even with Stipe or Ngannou as champ. And we might see a trilogy with these guys. You know, if Ngannou wins, you get the opportunity of a trilogy. Sign me up. I'd be happy with that, man. They could be the new JDS and Cain Velasquez. All good by me, you know. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Ngannou. I think he's got to right those wrongs. I think he can right the wrongs. Man, yeah, I think he could do it. I think he can do it this time.
Thing is as well that Ngannou's kind of beat most of that division already. When you look at it, or like outside of Derek Lewis, he's beat Blades.
Yeah,
he's beat some other guys. So it's like, but I know there's a young crop of heavyweights coming through that could challenge that. Maybe a rematch might not be the worst thing, a trilogy fight. But this was a bet I was looking at earlier on actually. Francis to win in rounds 1, 2, and 3 plus 100. There we go. You could play both sides if you want. Yeah, I'm not one to kind of hedge on either side, but that's not a bad fight. I just got a feeling that he's going to catch him this time around. And I mean, Stipe's did everything. He really has. He's done everything. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time. So, in my opinion, I think he's the greatest heavyweight. I know there's all those Fedor guys out there. I'm not one for that. Never really have been super high on Fedor. Great champ. But for me, Stipe's beat the best guys and took his licks and then came back from him. So that's our picks for UFC 260, guys. I will tell you that this is probably going to be a pretty light kind of betting card for me. I'll give you a couple of spots that I like. I've obviously bet Miranda, Gillian, Robertson, I should say. I might take a sprinkle on Almeida, even though I think it might not be the greatest matchup for him. I actually, like I said, this was a bet there I was kind of staying quiet about, but the Francis in rounds 1, 2, and 3, the reason I'm kind of waiting for that is because there could be a flow of money that comes in on Stipe Miocic that maybe makes him just like a straight pick to win the fight in case you get an odd occurrence where it goes in and Ngannou might be like an underdog in that. So I'm kind of waiting. So, I'm going to have a light card this one and then have a break and then come back next time. But like I say, then we've got another pay-per-view next month in Florida where they're opening things back up again, which I'm not sure about, but it is what it is. Throw a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, guys. Much appreciated to the chat in there. You guys were awesome. We'll be back. I'll be back next month. John will keep the show running, and then hopefully towards the end of the year things might change up a little bit where I'm back in week and week out. We shall see though. Until next week, guys, from John, myself, thank you very much. All the very, very best, and enjoy UFC 260 when it comes around this weekend. Peace.